Players you should be targeting for game week 36 while, simultaneously thinking about double game week 37 and 38. Now, I know sometimes chasing too many double game week players can be the wrong move and, it's not the smartest thing. But for double game week 37, because there's only one game week left after it finishes, you really want to be looking to aim for 15 double game week players, especially if you're on a bench boost. If not on a bench boost, you want to be aiming for at least 11. And to be honest, I think a lot of players that have lasted this long in the game may have their bench boost left. But even if you don't have an 11 double game week players, it's still good fun. Like Arsenal players, they've got Everton at home in game week 38. They've also got Bournemouth at home in game week 36. The game week 37 fixture isn't that good, but it's very well worth considering these Arsenal players, even though they have a bad game in game week 37. But if you're looking at bench boosting, you honestly don't want to go for these Arsenal players because you want to be looking to bench boost in double game week 37 and they'll be playing away to Man United. And I don't think Arsenal will do too great against them, despite I know Man United are a liability, but Man United do also show up to big games. With all of this being said and admitting some single game week players are worth going for, I am mainly going to be talking about, or pretty much exclusively talking about, double game week 37 players, because these are the players you want to go for. Despite having some tough fixtures, they're playing 2 games. That's always some guaranteed minutes points and more chances to get goals and assists, etc. Clean sheets and all. And let's be real with ourselves, right? A regular game week in FPL, you have 11 players playing. They all play 1 game each. That's 11 players playing in total. It's an average week. But if you saved your bench boost, you could potentially get 15 players that all double in the same game week. Instead of having 11 players play, you've nearly tripled it to 30. And for me, that is like the most fun way to play FPL. So we're just going to be looking at those double game week players you want to add to your team. Starting at Man City, since budget isn't the biggest issue at this point in the game, everybody should probably be looking to get Haaland in their team since you really don't need Salah anymore, given his benching situations and his recent form. It's not great. So you really should be looking to get Haaland 100%. He's at the top of the list. The midfielders to look from at Man City, there's obviously really only 2 good options. You've got Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden. I would definitely lean more towards getting Foden and leaving out De Bruyne just because there's so many good midfield options. You don't want to bring in De Bruyne just for him to be, your rotation risk and cost way more than he's actually worth. So I'm going to recommend you guys, if you have De Bruyne, definitely hold him. But if you're looking to bring in a Man City midfielder, I think Foden is definitely your best bet. And of course, with Man City having the best defense out of all the double game week teams, you have to be looking to back their defenders. I, for one, decided to go with Edison over Gvardiol, which I deeply regret because now Edison's injured and Gvardiol got 15 points. But the problem is with these Man City defenders, I don't think any Man City defender is going to start every game for the rest of the season, except maybe Kyle Walker. So if you're looking to bring in a Man City goalkeeper/defender, probably go for Kyle Walker as the safest defender option. But if you're looking for a goalkeeper option to bring in, just wait to hear more on Edison's injury because you don't want to end up bringing in Ortega just for Edison to come back in double game week 37. We're going to head over to the better side of Manchester United. And there's not a lot of people to choose from here, guys. You've got Bruno and Garnacho as your only 2 attacking options that are actually going to be good. Bruno's getting all the expected assists and he's on penalties. And he's realistically going to have a chance to get at least an assist in every single game week leading up to the end of the season. And then you've got Garnacho on the other side, who's going to save you some money. And he's also going to give you the threat of being incredibly selfish. Like, as a United fan, I get so annoyed watching him because he will be in a great position. And instead of trying to link up the play, he'll just be selfish and go for a shot. And, for the team, it's bad. But for an FPL asset, that's something you really want to look for. And if you're really looking to save budget, you definitely want to get Garnacho in your team. He's going to be the best budget saver in your team. Well, apart from Cole Palmer, but we'll get there. Now, obviously, looking at the Man United defense, it's not great. But guess what? Every defense that has a double in game week 37 is also not good, except for Man City. Man City's obviously is good. All 5 other teams, Manchester United, Newcastle, Tottenham, Chelsea, Brighton, none of their defenses are good. So you really need to start looking at these defenses based on their attacking contributions and pretty much nothing more because you're not going to get clean sheets unless you're insanely lucky or your Spurs playing home to Burnley, which you would actually hope. That's the only clean sheet I would actually expect to happen for the rest of the season from all these double game week 37 teams. So back onto that Manchester United defence. Maguire has so much goal threat from corners. If you watch this guy, he wins nearly every header he goes for. And Man United, when they play a good game and they play their possession-based football, they'll be getting a lot of corners for Maguire to, latch onto. And I also really like Dalot. The way we've been playing the past 2 games where we switched our style of football to possession-based, Dalot has pretty much been playing as an attacker. He's created big chances. He's even gone through on a one-on-one situation. So I definitely see Dalot picking up at least one more goal involvement before the end of the season. So if it were me for Manchester United, I would be looking to choose Dalot and Bruno as the main 2 options. But if you're looking to triple up, which if you're on a bench boost you will be, you'd be looking for maybe Garnacho and Maguire to add to that team. On to Chelsea now, and obviously we know Cole Palmer is going to be there. I don't need to explain much on that, but we're also going to say Jackson is very good to go for. And I know it's not a massive surprise because, Jackson is already quite high owned by everyone that's going to want a lot of double game week 37 players. But the thing is, there's only 3 good forwards that actually double in game week 37, guys. Let's be honest. Jackson being one of them, Isak and Haaland. So if you're on a bench boost, you definitely want Jackson because who else are you going to have there instead? João Pedro? No. Timo Werner? No. You're going to want Jackson there. And I know he wastes a lot of chances, but he does get a lot of big chances and he is going to score one at some point. Well, you'd hope so, really. He gets a lot of them. So if you're looking to play 3 forwards, definitely get Jackson in your team. If you're not on a bench boost, it's not as essential because you could just get away with playing 2 forwards for the rest of the season. So in conclusion for Jackson, if you're on a bench boost, you must get him in, really. If you're not, then you really don't need him at all. Now, with that Chelsea defence, it is incredibly awful. Like I said, the rest of the defences are. And your only real attacking threat is Gusto. Disasi does like to score from a corner now and then, but he is more likely to score an own goal than score a goal in the right end. So I wouldn't bring in a Chelsea defender this game week. I'd definitely wait to hear what's happening with Gusto before I make any moves and just go without a Chelsea defender. Like playing home to West Ham, there's no rush to bring in a Chelsea defender this game week. So I'm just going to say stay away from that Chelsea defence for now. Now on to Spurs playing away to Liverpool. You usually wouldn't recommend bringing in any Spurs players when they're playing away to Liverpool. You just wait for the double game week to bring them players in. But Liverpool are so bad at the moment. And, I love Liverpool being shit, but I'm not being biased when I say any player from any team could score against them. So if you don't have Son in your team, I know he's not on the best form, but it is probably about time to get Son in your team. Looking at the other Tottenham attackers, you have Brennan Johnson, Richarlison, Werner, who just came off injured, and Kulusevski. Now, I personally wouldn't go in and touch this attack anymore, except for Son, because there's a lot of rotation risk everywhere. Now, I am saying that as a Brennan Johnson owner because Brennan Johnson's expected data was so good. And if you were going to double up on that Spurs attack, I would definitely recommend Brennan Johnson over any of them. I would personally just wait an extra game week, wait through game week 36 to see who the most nailed wingers are, see who the most nailed attackers are, and then in double game week 37, make my move to my second Spurs attacker. Obviously, I can't do that right now because I'm already locked in on Johnson. I'm going to have to ride that out. I know there's obviously that option of James Maddison, who is a very nailed Spurs attacker, but his expected data and all that jazz, big chances creator, it's all so low, and it's been so low for a while. And as you can tell, he's not been getting many goals or assists, even though Spurs have been involved in a lot of goals and assists. So James Maddison is just going to be a waste of a transfer for you guys. So for the rest of the season, I would stay away from James Maddison. With that Spurs defence, there is a small goal threat and assist threat in nearly every single one of those defenders, but it's very small. And I wouldn't bet on keeping a clean sheet away to Liverpool at the end of the day, despite their form. So if you have a Spurs defender, great, put him on your bench. If you don't have one, do not be rushing to bring one in game week 36. Wait till they play home to Burnley in double game week 37. Now, guys, we haven't gone through Newcastle and Brighton yet. Before I go on to Newcastle, I want to talk about Brighton. You can see in the bottom right of your screen, you are going to be avoiding all Brighton players. Guys, they've scored pretty much 0 goals in their last 5 games. Obviously, I'm exaggerating, but fuck me. They are the worst team in the league right now, even worse than Sheffield United. I don't care if they're playing home to Aston Villa, and on paper that's not the worst fixture. They're not going to do anything, guys. They're not going to bring value to your team. They're just going to let you down, okay? Unless João Pedro somehow gets a penalty, no one's going to get any returns on that team. They've got too many injuries. Fair play to them. They're not bad because they're shit. They're bad because they've had loads of injuries. But in your FPL team, if you want to keep it good, stay away from every single one of those Brighton players. I'm telling you right now, as someone who wants to see you succeed, please back away. But yeah, guys, on to the final team now. We've got Newcastle, and I've left this one to the end because it's so simple. There's only 3 Newcastle players you can physically have on your team, and there's only 3 that you want. And most of you will probably already have these 3 players. It's Isak, Gordon, and Fabian Schär. Fabian Schär came off as a precaution last game week. He's not actually injured. He's not actually got a hamstring injury, and he's like 99% likely going to be okay for next game week. Then you've got Gordon, who you want to bring in because of his home form. And game week 35 has passed where he just got 2 assists at home to Sheffield United. And in the last 4 game weeks he's got left, he's only playing one of those games at home. But the games he's playing away against teams like Burnley and Man United, it's not a bad shout to have a Newcastle attacker in, even though his away form is bad. Gordon could get potential returns in the rest of his 4 games, especially that home game against Brighton in double game week 37. And don't even get me started on the no-brainer of Alexander Isak. Okay, guys, if he's not in your team, you're going to fail it. It's as simple as that. Get him in your team. It's the obvious Newcastle triple up. Fabian Schär, Gordon, Isak. Don't neglect it. But yeah, guys, that is my verdict on the players you should be targeting for game week 36 and thinking ahead to game week 37, 38, etc. If you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. And yeah, guys, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of my opinions. I will see you in the next one.